Hello, my name is Gracyn, and today I'm going to be talking about my live selling with Mancini's bread. Alright, so basically in my marketing class, we all were paired up with different companies, and I was partnered up with Mancini's Bread to conduct a real-world sales project. Basically, I cold called local Morgantown businesses to help familiarize Mancini's brand around the area, and just set up local demo appointments. And my basic goal was to familiarize the local area of this brand and practice the full sales process from prospecting to closing. So, some background of the Mancini's brand. It's a Pittsburgh-based bakery known for its high-quality Italian breads. It's family-owned business with a strong reputation of freshness and flavor, which I can say they are because their bread is awesome. We got to try some samples, and they were mwah. Their target customers are local restaurants, cafes, delis, and grocery stores. So, to help me prepare for this project, I looked up local businesses that would benefit from the Mancini's products, and then created a potential prospect list. My list included their names, their roles, titles, emails, numbers, all of that for me to reach out to them. I then wrote a cold call script that focused on just gaining information about the company and things that they look for when looking for and selecting bread suppliers. I also practice overcoming common objections, just because I believe that's definitely one of the hardest parts of cold calling, is when someone has an issue and you have to overcome that. Alright, now onto the cold calling process. What I did, I called 30 businesses such as restaurants, sandwich shops, coffee shops, and markets. I focused on short, value-driven pitches because I understand with cold calling, people are very busy during their days and they don't have a lot of time to sit down and yap with me about bread. So I made sure that I got straight to the point. I told them how I understood that they were busy, but this won't take long. And usually the people let me talk, but I understand when they were trying to rush me off the phone. I get that because it's in the middle of the day. But I did get one demo appointment out of all 30, which it got to the point where I was told no so many times. Like, when the guy Anthony at the Village Butcher told me yes, I was like, wait, what? Okay. So I was very proud because of how many times I heard no. So when I was able to find someone that took interest, I was very happy about that. And it made the rest of the no's very small. So I then, after that, I still sent follow-up emails for confirmation. Even the people that weren't particularly into pairing up with Mancini's, I still sent them some emails just to be like, hey, in case this ever changes, here's some numbers, here's the menu, the works. Alright, now time to talk about the challenges and successes from the cold calling experience. The first challenge, getting past the awkward part. This was definitely something that I struggled with because I don't like awkward. So, it was kind of nice because after the first few phone calls that were a bit shaky, it got so much easier from there. But definitely getting past that first, hi, how are you? I'm this, you're that. It got better, and I appreciated once you got past that little wall. So that was nice. Also, another challenge that I found when cold calling was definitely the timing calls when people would be available. I would have to call people multiple times a week to just try to find a time that worked for them to even have time to speak to me for a few minutes. So, and I understand people are very busy, so I try to take that into consideration, not try to be too annoying, but I definitely trying to find a time that worked for all of us was definitely a challenge, but ended up working out. Also, another challenge is that most businesses were actually not that open and did not take my calls always seriously just because I was a college student. That's what I'm guessing, but I think that because not many people were open, it was definitely more difficult to, try to sell something, especially when people already have in their mind, they're already closed off and they already don't want what you're selling. But that was definitely a challenge. But the more successes to the cold calls, I got really good practice and felt very confident by the end. By the end of the calls, I felt that I was on top of the world and I was it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. It was, just having a conversation with someone, and yeah. The Village Butcher was very receptive and loved the idea of sampling a local product, so that made me very happy. That was definitely a success for me, and I was able to then schedule a demo and just, express interest in the product. So yeah. Okay, now for the demo. In my opinion, for my first demo ever, I thought it went awesome. So me and Anthony had a great time talking about bread. I asked just a few more questions that I didn't get to ask from the cold call about their bread supplier. I then also explained how Mancini's would be a perfect fit for them, because something that came up that he talked about is that they already have 3 different kinds of bread suppliers, and I was able to be like, well, something fun is that we actually have all 3 of those breads, so you wouldn't have to talk to 3 different kinds of suppliers. You could just have one, and I think that definitely made him like, oh, okay. So that was something cool that I was able to be like, oh, something that could help your business that we could definitely help you with. I even got him to this sandwich up here right above my head. That's Mancini's bread on an Italian sandwich from there. So I even got him to make a sandwich with the sample of the Italian hoagie. He said he liked the density of the bread. Awesome. And thought it was great. I think the Village Butcher is definitely a potential customer for the future. He said he's very content with the 3 brands he has now, but he was so nice. He asked so many questions and seemed genuinely interested in what I was saying. So I think that's successful, and I definitely think looking into them for the future is a possibility. All right, so now we are talking about the results. So the total calls I made, the total amount of prospects I had were 30 prospects, so I just put that there. Demos I scheduled, I had 1 scheduled demo, and the feedback that I had was definitely positive reactions to the taste of the bread. The delivery options were great. Success stories that I was able to share about Mancini's bread helping other companies was great. People had a lot of good feedback to say about that. The variety of products that Mancini's have, and the fact that it was local partnerships definitely turned heads and made people think about partnering up with Mancini's. Even the companies that didn't particularly want to partner with Mancini's still gave me great feedback and a better picture of what people are looking for. So that was awesome and very helpful. All right, so lessons learned throughout this project. Persistence pays off in cold calls. You just got to keep going. Got to get back on the horse even when people don't answer or people say that they're all good. You just got to keep going to the next person. Tone and confidence matters more than a perfect script. I would say this is very true. You never want to sound like a robot, so it makes people trust you more and makes just the whole conversation more comfortable. Asking questions definitely helps, but make sure to listen and take notes so you can recall stuff in the future and kind of just be able to make people feel more heard and make people think that make people feel like you actually care and they're being listened to. Rejection is a part of the process and never take it personally. All right, so how did this connect to our textbook, The Sales Expedition? Basically, the concepts I used during this process, pre-call planning and research. That was one thing they covered in our textbook, and that was definitely very helpful. Handling objections also was very helpful professionally, because objections, when people have an issue, you got to get over that hump and continue on and show them that just kind of relieve their concerns. So yeah, follow-up is key. Emails, keep calling, show up in person, whatever you gotta do, that definitely helps. The application, so this book gave me definitely a structure. Anytime I was lost, I would just go back and look at it, and so I just followed it, and it gave me confidence in my real life situations. So, how did this tie to how to win friends and influence people? This was a book that I actually really enjoyed reading, so I definitely took some of the skills from this book. So, skills I used from the book: show genuine interest in each business, remember names and references to their unique needs. That's definitely something I use with the Village Butcher. I remembered I said, Anthony, you're great. I used his name, and I referenced different sandwiches they have and how that can, Mancini's, I was like, oh yeah, the Italian hoagie goes with this sandwich, this, and I think that definitely impressed him a little when coming in and knowing their entire menu and I think that definitely showed him that I cared and I cared about their business as a whole. I definitely focused on their benefit and not just the product. Like I said, with kind of me bringing up how he shouldn't have to worry about different bread suppliers. He should just worry about one. I think that showed that, like, I cared more about him having to multitask instead of just doing one. So I think that definitely helped. And basically this impact, it helped me connect quickly and be more persuasive over the phone and in person. All right, my final reflection. Cold calling is a skill that improves with practice. Yup. Real world selling taught me more than any classroom lecture. Seriously, this class was awesome. Really put me in uncomfortable situations, but I am now more prepared for when I have to actually do this outside of college, and I'm glad it's not going to be when I'm actually at a real job. So yeah, I now feel way more comfortable handling sales conversations and setting appointments. So yeah, and I'm just so excited to keep building these skills in my future roles, because no matter what you're going to do, you're always going to be selling, whether it's a product, a place, a thing, yourself, you're always going to be selling something. So this was definitely helpful and something I will continue to use. All right, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, such a great class, very engaging and super helpful for my future. And I cannot wait to use the skills I learned from this class in my actual job. So